One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine preseason games, and not one are the Avs. That really annoys me. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli, with another episode of the podcast dedicated to your Colorado Avalanche. And as always, appreciate you making this the first listen of your day. On today's episode, we will be going over how training camp is going so far. We will also this week, because we're back to 5 days a week, or 5 shows a week, we will be discussing one kind of burning question each day. And today we are going to look at injuries and the health of the Avalanche and how important that is for this team to stay healthy. Because let's face it, the past couple of years has been injury plagued. They've fought through it, but can they keep doing that if, again, this is a season riddled with injuries up and down the lineup? So we'll get to all that and then some. But first things first, follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram, and send any questions, comments, concerns, opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And of course, follow the show on the YouTube channel. Just search for you, or just on YouTube, search for Locked On Avalanche, and then subscribe and get notified when a brand new episode just like this one drops. All right, so training camp, how's it going? So far, so good. It seems there's really nothing coming out of training camp where you are kind of concerned, like, are they going to have to, do they need more time to work on this or that or whatever the case may be? It seems like they are really firing on uh, close to all cylinders as possible. I've heard from multiple people that top line, and is it any secret, is absolutely flying. So when they do have their first preseason game here in tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Monday, it's Tuesday against Vegas. That is, and you never know who's going to play in these things. Most of the time, like that's a good thing about NHL preseason is most of your guys play. So even, beyond preseason, first game of the season, first shift, I am looking forward to seeing what that combination is going to do. It does not seem like they need much time to get on the same page. There might be some there, if there is, they're getting past all of that nonsense now in practice, but it doesn't seem like they are in need of a time frame to kind of start gelling. You wouldn't think that they need it. They've been playing together long enough that they know where each one of them is going to be, what their role is, what they have to do. And it appeared they were flying through every drill that Bednar was throwing at them. So that's your line. That's your top line. And those are the guys that everybody tunes in to see. And on day 2 and day 3 of camp, it seems like they're in mid-season form. You almost want to just bypass the preseason and just get this puppy started right now. Beyond that, you're hearing good things about a lot of players, and Nichushkin seems to be settled in on that second line. Kyle and I last week kind of predicted the lines. He had Nichushkin on the second line. I was putting him on the third, not as any punishment. I just thought he worked very well on that third line. And I thought they would bump up maybe like Newhook to the second line, which still may happen over the course of a season. Shifts change for a number of reasons, but it doesn't look like Nichushkin, unless he just falls flat He either needs to fall flat and just not progress the way that he has been, or Alex Newhook just needs to go completely off and to the point where you have to put him on the second line. I mean, which anything is possible, but right now it just seems like Val Nichushkin has entrenched himself in that second line. And Jared Bednar was asked, not it wasn't like, do you plan, or I can't remember how it was phrased, what the question was, but it's more or less asking like, how do you like him on the second line? And he just said, I love it. I love it. So that was kind of one of the questions, not one that we're covering today, but who's going to replace Donskoy? Because he had a great season last year, and you kind of turn to the youth of the Avalanche. Could it be one of those guys? Is it Val Nichushkin? It could be, but in a different way. Nichushkin's not going to put up points the way that Donskoy did, but Nichushkin will. We were talking about it last week, I think it was, for awards and like Selke awards. He could win that thing if he's up on the second line consistently all year long. So stuff like that. You like hearing good things about that. As far as the young guys, you still hear about Newhook. I haven't heard too much about Byram, but I feel like he's doing fine. Bowers, I keep hearing things about Shane Bowers, that he is progressing well. Is it enough to gain a spot? I don't know about that. Justin Barron seems like they're going to make it. He's going to make it difficult to leave him off of this roster. Probably will be in the beginning, but one of those guys kind of in that Sampo Ranta realm where maybe won't make the opening day roster, but as the season goes along and there are some injuries, guys like him could get the opportunity to step up. And you never know what happens once that does happen when they bring him up, because once they bring him up, if they take advantage of that opportunity, you'd be hard pressed to remove them. But it seems like he's really taken advantage of this. So he's a guy to watch in these preseason games. See what he can do against, especially your opening preseason game against Vegas. And yeah, I know it's preseason, but still, there's guys like him on the other team too, pressing for a spot. So a lot to look forward to, and I don't envy the coaching staff and and Joe Sakic and Jared Bednar and all the assistant coaches, and how they're going to whittle this team down and find the right combination of players. And once they do, I have a good vibe about this team. Just even the guys that don't make the squad right off the bat, you get the impression that they know that they still have a role, despite maybe not making the opening day roster. And that role is to be on the ready, because it could get called at any point. And why might it get called at any point? Because we are all too familiar with injuries in Avalanche land. So let's discuss that. But first, we're going to talk about DirecTV Stream. And does this sound familiar to you? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for all of the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment that you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. So you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there is no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. Once again, that website is directtv.com. And it works with compatible devices, and content varies by package. So injuries, we know them so well in Colorado land. And you're going into this season thinking, can we at least minimize the injuries? It's hockey. It's a long season. It's 82 games. It's a rough sport. There's going to be injuries. But does it not seem that, the Colorado Avalanche just seem to have a way of everybody getting injured? You start, and it seems like they are pretty much healthy. We know that the only one who's not going to start the season, all things considered, everything goes well in the preseason, that it is Devon Taves, right? Yeah, Taves is the only one that we know is not going to start the season. They did talk about him too. Bednar did, saying he doesn't expect him to be out very long to start the season. And once he's clear, he's been skating. I guess he's been skating for a while. But once he's cleared to play, you're thinking a couple practices, and then he's back out on the ice. And then that's always a scary situation when you finally get back, especially it was a shoulder procedure, I believe. That's dangerous when you're finally going to start hitting guys again. Those first couple of hits, maybe that's why they're going to have him practice first, to take a couple hits in practice and see if it holds up, because you're going to be favoring that no matter, I don't care who you are, until it gets hit once or twice, and then you feel okay, and you're like, all right, let's go. So he's the only one that's going to be out. We know Cale Makar is wearing a red jersey, but there doesn't seem to be any issues with that. If you're watching on YouTube, I don't know why my camera keeps panning in and out, but sorry, I'll figure it out. So outside of that, things seem to be going okay. And clearly you want to make that, you want to minimize how many injuries you have during the season. Sometimes it's completely out of your hands. There's a guy that takes a run on you, gives you a check, your body goes into the boards weird, you're going to be injured. But you're starting the season outside of, like I said, Taves / Makar, but he seems to be fine. Going into the season relatively healthy. And the guys that you are going to watch, without a doubt, are Erik Johnson, who doesn't, I mean, he's just had a string of bad luck the past couple seasons. He's, let me find his career stats here. Where's his career? Okay. Because games played. So last year he only had 4. The year before that, 59. And we're going backwards. 80, 62, 46. So that wasn't a good one. 73 and then 47. So 80, 31, 73, 22. So it seems like every other year he's missing some games, with the exception of the past 2 seasons where, he had 59. So he wasn't awful. But without a doubt, that's a guy that you're going to watch for a number of reasons. He's one of the fan favorites because he's had 2 years in a row. The 2 years in a row was 59, and that was a shortened season, so that was okay. But you want him out there because his team is supposed to compete, and after, let's just fast forward and say this team does win it all. After Gabe Landeskog throws it up, he's probably handing it to Erik Johnson. So you just want him on the ice for as long as possible and have a good, healthy season and help this team, because he can help this team in a number of ways. And if they're putting him on a line with Bowen Byram, which seems to be the case right now, that is the old and the new personified. So, and that would be an exciting pairing for the duration of the season. So you're going to be looking at Erik Johnson. You're going to be looking at Pavel Francouz, another guy that missed all of last year and was trending in as good a direction as you can trend, that heading into the COVID break. And he talked a little bit about, or his doctors or somebody talked a little bit about this surgery that he had. There was a time where he was thinking, am I going to play at all? Because he had surgery on his hips, which I think are important for the goalie position. And he said, I'm watching these games thinking, while he's hurt after surgery, thinking, am I going to be able to do this again? But as time went on, he starts to heal, and he says he's back and he loves the sport and can't wait to get back out there. So I'm looking forward to him seeing what he does. And he's not getting thrown in the position to be the number one guy because obviously that goes to Darcy Kemper, who is another guy that we need to watch because he's been a little bit fragile. When he's out there, he's great. And we've talked a lot about the trade, and I think it's a great trade. I think at the end of the year, people are going to be very happy with it. Obviously, you say that when I can say that if he stays healthy, that goes without saying. But to switch it over to football, remember when the Broncos named Teddy Bridgewater the starter? If you were following on social media, there was a lot of people up in arms about that. They did not want him to be the starter. They wanted Locke to be the starter. After 3 games, I know it's only 3 games, and I know all 3 teams don't even have a win that they've beaten, but you're 3-0. Everybody is Teddy Bridgewater mania right now. You might get something similar with Darcy Kemper. And after the first couple weeks, if you get out on a good foot and he's playing very well, people are going to be saying Grubauer who. Mark my words. But he's got a history of injury. So another guy. And then just these little ones that happen all throughout the season. Remember a couple of years ago, Mikko Rantanen just felt like he couldn't stay healthy. He got hurt. He got a bad, nasty ankle injury. I believe it was against the Blackhawks, where it just turned in the opposite direction. He was out for a while. He came back and then got hurt again. You can almost count on Gabe Landeskog missing a couple games here and there because of just the way he plays. Obviously Nathan MacKinnon for the most part has gone unscathed. He's missed a couple games here and there, and he lucked out on the COVID season because he was going to be out for a couple weeks. And then I think he missed 1 game, which was going to start his couple weeks of injuries or games that missed due to injuries. And then they canceled or paused the season. So he lucked out for that. But who else is on here that's kind of catches the injury bug a lot? Those are the main ones. But you're going to have guys that, you don't typically think of them as injury plagued and just going to get hurt and miss a game here or there. And that's where the depth comes in, which is another day that we will cover. I think we're going to do that on Wednesday. So look, every team has to deal with this. This is not exclusive to the Avalanche. And for the past couple seasons, when they've missed players, I've said it so many times, they hold their head above water. A lot of that is due thanks to Nathan MacKinnon. A lot of it was due to Philip Grubauer in goal. And a lot of it was the guys that they promoted up to take the spot held the line. And that's all you want to do. If you have, if you know a guy's going to be out, a few days, you can get through that. If you know he's going to be out like a few weeks, depending on who it is, obviously, if it's one of your top guys, someone really needs to step up. If it's a bottom sixer, you can plug someone in that is going to be serviceable and you can get through that. And the Avalanche have done it, but they can't rely on that saying like, okay, when we have injuries, the past couple of years, we've been just fine. No, you still have to perform and you just can't hold your hat on. Yeah, the past couple of years when we have injuries, everything seemed to be okay, so it'll be okay again. You can't say that. And the Avs last year, I think there was only 1 team that had more games missed than them. And God, I wish I could remember who it was. I think it was a Canadian team, not counting COVID stuff, because I think that would have went to Vancouver. This is on the ice, injuries due to things going on the ice. But they were up there. And the fact that they still won the President's Trophy, minor miracle. So tomorrow, what were we going to do tomorrow? So today was health and injuries, and tomorrow we were going to talk about depth and the depth of the Avalanche. So we shall see if some of these guys can like we're saying earlier, need to step up because you lost a good amount of guys. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. But for now, we're going to listen to or hear from builtbar.com. You know it. It's the best tasting protein bar on the market. And they have so many delicious flavors to choose from, such as coconut and raspberry and mint brownie, double chocolate, orange, strawberry, cookies and cream. The list goes on and on. And if you haven't tried them, you can get a mixed box where you get 2 each of 9 flavors available. And not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they are healthy. They have 17 to 18 grams of protein. Calories range from 130 to 180. Only 4 to 5 grams of sugar. Only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. So go to BuiltBar.com right now. Use the promo code LOCKED15 and you'll get 15% off of your order. Once again, that promo code is LOCKED15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com. All right. So right now, just they're playing their first preseason game. Seattle is. They're losing 2-0 to Vancouver. It's at the second intermission now, first intermission as I'm recording this. But for the Avalanche, their Vegas is their first preseason game, and I was thinking of, who are we developing rivalries with anybody outside of the division? And I might do a segment on this later on, but you would have to put Vegas in there because a good rivalry is when both teams are good at the top. I guess you could say if they're at the bottom too, that could still be a rivalry. But when one team is running through the league and the other, can't get out of their own way, it's not really I mean, it's a one-sided rivalry. But right now, outside of the division, again, you're always going to have those rivalries with St. Louis and definitely Minnesota and definitely Dallas. You're going to have those rivalries within the division, no doubt. Outside of the division, I think Vegas is probably their nemesis right now because they're good. They've beaten you more recently in the playoffs. They've beaten you. And, the season series, remember last year with the way the schedule was constructed with the baseball style of schedule, and they played 4 times in a row. The middle of that was the Lake Tahoe game. And I believe the Avalanche lost the first one. That was their first game coming out of a COVID pause. They lost the first one, won the second 2, won the Lake Tahoe game, and then the next game, which I think was in Colorado. And then the last game they lost. So split right down the middle, 2-2 for those 4 games anyway. That's not a lopsided rivalry. Other than Vegas, I think people will always be hung up on Detroit. And now that that they play in a completely different conference, maybe that's your out of conference rival. Maybe it always will be, but let's not kid ourselves. It's not what it used to be in the late 90s. That is one of the best rivalries of all time. But it was, and I think the reason why it is because it was short term for the most part. After 2002, it was pretty much over. So they don't go at each other the same way like, Michigan and Ohio State does year in and year out. It's just a different type of rivalry. But because it happened, I still think fans, whenever, especially this year, you haven't seen the Red Wings in a long time. So the first time that they meet up, I think fans just always pay attention to an Avalanche Red Wings game. So I think outside of the division within the conference, I would say obviously it's Vegas. Outside of the entire conference, going to the Eastern Conference, probably still Detroit. But then that goes in against what I was just saying. Like one team is on the top, one team is on the bottom. So who would it be on the East Coast? It's tough to say. It's tough to find an Eastern Conference team that would be your rival right now. So let me know who you think. I mean, is it just, you don't want to just say like a team like Toronto just because, or Tampa Bay just because they're the good teams. You don't really have any beef with them. So I kind of want to know who outside of the conference, who the Avalanche rival would be. And if you don't think it's anybody right now, guess in who it could be. Could it be Toronto? Could it be Tampa? Could it be Boston? So, because it's good to have rivals. It's fun to have rivals. So let me know. Lockdownavalanche@gmail.com or find me on Twitter, LLPN_avalanche, or my personal Twitter page, if you're watching on YouTube, is up on that screen as well. So that's going to be it for today, everybody. Like I said in the beginning, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. If you want a great second listen of your day, definitely check out Locked On NHL. I host that one on Thursday with Adam Denker from Locked On Lightning, but every day we have a host breaking down all of the important stuff. And with 9 preseason games being played yesterday, definitely check that out because they'll talk. I'm sure they'll be talking about some good stuff and all the other teams that were played that do not include the Colorado Avalanche, but they will Tuesday. That's going to be it, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. It is always appreciated, and definitely tune in tomorrow. We'll be talking about the depth as the second burning question for the Avs. And anything else you got, get a hold of me. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Like I said, it's always appreciated, and we will see everyone tomorrow. Here's Jovi.